This is Tony, Cover Magazine. I'm speaking to Patrick Ashton, the executive at SilverBridge. Patrick, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me today.
Thanks, Tony. Appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
You wanted to chat to me about claims automation in the insurance industry.
Yes.
And I think it's one of the really topical areas that a lot of insurers are focusing on at the moment, in purely in terms of automation. They've realized, given things like COVID, remote working, that there are a lot of inefficiencies in the business processes that they're running. So technology has evolved a lot in the last few years. Using technology to make processes more efficient is a sort of a natural step in progressing your business. SilverBridge, you're aware who SilverBridge are, but I mean, we're a long-standing technology provider to the insurance industry. We've got a lot of customers in South Africa and in the rest of Africa. I have been exploring new technologies and how they can benefit the insurance industry and other industries as well for a number of years. One of the solutions that we have been working with is using some data partners and some technology partners to bring some automation to the insurance industry. And that's where we ended up with the claims automation. How it came about really is we have a niche AI partner in South Africa called Merlin. And Merlin's AI enables people to essentially create digital assets for decision making. So incorporating an individual's judgment and bias, you can essentially model an expert's decision or set of decisions around a particular issue, create that into a digital asset and deploy it into the organization to work 24/7 instead of requiring that person to be, full-time in the office. Now, with this AI capability that we had, we realized that it fits very nicely into the insurance space. They'd already been working in the general insurance space for a while with a customer down in the Cape, specifically around motor claims. And we thought nothing's being done in the life space. So let's have a look at a couple of the key life processes and see if we can't deploy the AI into some of those processes and automate as much of the process as we can. The first process we looked at was really claims. Claims in South Africa regulated quite tightly with SLAs, specifically in the funeral space. The volumes of claims can overwhelm insurers. The volume of fraud that is sort of prevalent in the country, and specifically around insurance claims, is very, very sort of concerning for the insurers. And we thought if we can bring some external data to the party, that'll help them understand whether there's any fraudulent or suspicious activity going on, that we could, add a considerable value, firstly to the insurer, but we could also then use that data along with things like the internal business rules of the system, red flag lists if they've got anything like that. We could do credit bureau checks. We could do all sorts of verifications to Home Affairs. All of that could happen behind the scenes. And then we could take these AI models that we create and deploy them on top of that data set to give you a claims decision in real time. So the ideal is, Tony, I mean, you get somebody submitting their claims documentation, an admin person would capture it into the administrative system. It doesn't matter which system they use. And from there, when you are ready to, typically your process would involve, you would send it to an assessor. Now, to go and assess that claim, we bypass that process. We send it to a system that we've developed internally called Scaffold, which stands for Scorecard Automation Framework. Scaffold then takes that information out of the administrative system. It passes it to a number of data partners to return fraudulent, suspicious activity, status of the life assured. We also look at sort of credit scoring if that's appropriate. We go and we have a look at the business rules in the system related to that product or that component that they are claiming on. And then we use the AI on top of that to make a decision, whether that's an approve or repudiate, or whether it needs to be looked at further by a forensics expert or another human expert.
Mm.
Given that picture that we envisaged, we entered into discussions with Astute. So we chatted to Jacques and to Charles, the previous CIO of Astute. They thought it was a great idea. Astute has this very, very valuable data set and services that they can provide, but not a lot of insurers are using their capabilities in all claim instances, because there's a manual process to engage with the Astute services, and there is an effort and a time cost associated. Many customers were only checking their high value claims, and or they weren't checking at all. And Astute saw the benefit of providing real-time sort of decisioning back to the client using the Astute data as one of the inputs. And we got to a point where we said, this is going to be a good idea. Let's do a proof of concept. We went and integrated fully into the Astute environment. We integrated into our administrative system, which is called Exergy, and we also integrated into a couple of other data partners. And then we started a proof of concept where we could essentially take an ID number coming out of a claim, and we could pass it through the system. We could identify any suspicious cell phone numbers or bank accounts, any business entities linked to that person. Astute has got a wide variety of markets that they look at in terms of fraud or suspicious activity. We could bring all of that back. Astute does a scoring themselves, which can be customized per client. So we could bring the scoring back as well as the metadata. We could present it back to the front end along with the claims decision, so that the insurer can then get a decision in real time, but they've also got the data to back it up to say the reason why this claim is being declined is because 4 other similar claims have been lodged with other insurers in the country in the last 2 weeks, and this bank account number is found to be fraudulent or something like that. So a lot of time and money saving for insurers to deploy a solution like this. The nice thing is it's front-end configurable, so you don't need to do a whole lot of development to deploy this into a new customer. Essentially, what you need to do is you need to integrate into the admin system in the back end just to pull the relevant pieces of data through that Astute required to be able to check cell phone numbers and stuff like that. It's worked well, I must say. We can do decisioning in real time. We've done a proof of concept with one of our customers, which we're looking to take into production. And my feeling, we're actually incorporating it into our core system as one of the modules, so that all of our customers will have access to the future. So it becomes standard business as usual sort of process. And I think most insurers are expecting that from system providers nowadays, to have capability like that.
And well, insurers other than your clients also have access to this?
Obviously, insurers in South Africa have access to Astute if they've got an agreement with Astute, and then they get the benefit of that industry shared data set. Other customers, we've done some proof of concepts with other insurers, just purely using the AI component to make forensics decisions around syndicated fraud and stuff like that. but theoretically, any insurer in South Africa, obviously, or Namibia, where Astute has a role to play, could make use of this solution. Territories outside of that, we would only be able to help them insofar as we'd be able to go and check things like their home affairs status, because usually we operate a lot in Africa. For instance, in Kenya or Ghana or something like that, you would still be able to ascertain whether there's a genuine deceased status to that social security number or passport or ID, and you would still be able to go and have a look at the business rules in the system. And you would be able to use an expert opinion from within Ghana or from within Kenya or whatever that territory happened to be, to create your digital asset, your AI decision, and then you could in real time still make those decisions. But it's obviously far more valuable if you've got the fraudulent aspect too. A lot of insurers tend to run these what they call red flag lists. So they've got Excel spreadsheets of dubious entities or people that they don't, that have been flagged somewhere, and we can easily integrate into those and use that, but it's not as rich as the entire industry sort of providing suspicious or fraudulent markers to the rest of the insurers.
Yeah. I mean, Astute has always been seen as sort of an industry, broader industry initiative.
Yes.
And therefore, in this way, combating fraud on that broader basis would also benefit the industry as a whole, I would suspect.
Tony, I think that's one of the benefits Astute saw in working together with us, is that we could make available not only the Astute scoring and the metadata, but we could also bring the automated decisioning to the table, so that an insurer could start to free up some of their senior resources. They would eliminate some of their manual processes, but also they would get a consistent decision. They would get a decision that can be updated quite quickly. If there's new syndicated fraud identified somewhere, or new business rules that need to be brought in to consideration when you do make a decision on a claim, those can be brought in quite quickly, deployed, and by quite quickly I mean within a matter of minutes or hours. You're not talking days or weeks. And from that point onwards, you've got the latest and greatest decision using all the available data. I like it because a lot of South African insurers, and I'm not criticizing them. I simply don't think they've got the time or the manpower to do it. But a lot of claims get processed and paid without any real checks being done against them, especially if the sum assureds are low, because the cost of doing the investigation is simply too high to justify on let's say, a 5,000 Rand claim. This gives you the ability to do that check on any size claim. So even if it's a 1,000 Rand claim, you can do the check. The check takes a couple of seconds, comes back, says you can pay this client, or no, don't pay this client, because there's some possibility of fraud involved.
Yeah. Now, just in closing, I mean, this obviously the technology that you've created and the AI can be applied in other areas. Are you looking at innovating?
Yeah, absolutely.
In other directions?
We've also got a very interesting underwriting automation. Again, at this point in time, it's only available in the South African space. We've got a data partner called Health Cloud, which you may be aware of. Health Cloud are already working with a couple of the insurers in the country. They provide medical data through data partners, so that you can have an automated underwriting decision or an underwriting scoring based on the last 5 years worth of medical data. So you no longer need to send individuals for medical testing. You don't need to get them to fill out long application forms. They simply need to give papier consent, present their ID number through, and you can get a full history of hospitals, doctors, clinics, pharmaceutical data. We can score them based on markers like their BMI, It integrates into smart wearables. So you can get a very good picture of an individual's health. And when you are making an underwriting decision, that's one of the key elements you're going to look at. You're going to look at the health, the underlying health of the individual, but you'll also look at their credit scoring. So, we've got a credit scoring integration, so you can see, is this a credit-worthy person? You can also have a look using the Astute services to see, has this person had a propensity with any of their data markers that are available for fraud or suspicious activity in the past, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. That gives you a very nice rounded picture of how risky that person is to onboard onto your as a life assured on your system. So yes, underwriting automation. You can do the automation in the alteration space, any of the key business processes really. A lot of insurance processes can be automated through tool sets like RPA, where you just need to follow business rules. But anything where there's high risk or sort of a high value, sum assured associated, you typically want an expert to be able to look at that and make a informed decision. And those are the places where we like to play, because those assets, those people are scarce, and they've got experience that's been garnered over the last 20, 30 years. It's very difficult to replicate. So deploying that person's decision making as an AI asset is a fantastic sort of tool set to have within your business. I look at it really as deploying an AI army into your business to go and do the work in an intelligent way behind the scenes, freeing up your sort of expert people to look at new sort of innovative ways to either increase market share or sort of become more competitive with their pricing models and stuff like that.
Yeah, obviously giving SilverBridge clients a few other areas to innovate in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's the idea. And
yeah.
I mean, all the engagements we've had with our customers thus far have been very positive. So I'm confident over the next period of time, most customers will start to automate some of these key processes.
Absolutely. Patrick, thank you so much. It was great chatting to you.
Pleasure,
and
Tony.
I look forward to seeing the system up and running and clients connecting and so on, and hearing the feedback. But
Yeah,
thank you very much for sharing.
happiness. No
Thank
problem.
you.